Well, welcome back. Here we are. This is Chapter 6, as you see, and this is Lecture 11. We're beginning our last unit. Can you believe that? How time has flown. Hope you've learned some interesting things. I hope you've developed your ear over all of these lectures. I hope you'll continue to do so. Remember that the facilities you have are not just one time. Listening is a repetitive skill, so please go back and listen again, and listen to other things as well. All right, let's get started with Unit 6, Global Connections. You all know the world we speak of as a globe, and when we say global, we mean in all parts of the world. You're probably acquainted with the phrase global village. This is a phrase that was coined by Marshall McLuhan in his book back in the 1960s, and of course it means that today nobody is really far away. We have so many ways to communicate. Something happens in Asia, people in America know it. Something in the Middle East, people in Europe know it. So we are a global village. Global connections. And we're going to hear a conversation today about using technology to stay in touch. And I'm going to be presenting the lecture for this unit, Customs Around the World. Very interesting unit, I think, a very interesting passage. I hope you'll enjoy it. And then next lecture we'll go on about customs, and we'll be doing a trivia quiz. So we're finishing up our units, so let's get into the actual unit itself. All right, there we are. Here we see, I'm going to move this gentleman a little more into your vision there. Okay, connecting to the topic, where is the person in this photo? Well, it looks to me he's out in the countryside, and judging by his hat, probably in Asia, maybe Vietnam or Cambodia, someplace like that. And what is he doing? Wow, he's using his laptop computer. Now, isn't that something? You're in the rice paddies of Asia, and he has his laptop. Isn't that a good example of global connections, our global village? Why do you think this person needs a computer? Why do you think? Maybe he needs to contact his parents. Maybe he is ordering seed for his field. Maybe he wants to know what's on at the local gym. Maybe he wants some information. Who knows? He could just having a good time. List the types of technology that you use. And how do you use each type? Well, you'll have to do that, but I'm sure most of you have your computer, you have your mobile phone, you may have your MP3, you may have all of these things. Today we have so many ways to keep in touch. Global connections. That's our subject. Now, let's move on to our situation. Every unit we have a situation, and here we see Jeff. The type using technology to stay in touch, and we see here Jeff having a nice time talking. In the following conversation, Sakamoto, I guess he's from Japan, and Jeff talk about using technology to stay in touch with family and friends. And you see here Jeff with his headset and making a call over the internet. So, again, a man in touch. And we're going to hear a conversation about that. And as always, we ask some questions, some pre-listening questions before we begin. In the photo, Jeff is using special software to make a telephone call over the internet. What do you know about this technology? Have you used it? Well, here in Saudi Arabia, people are very up on these things. So I think most of you are very much in touch with using the internet for making phone calls and for staying in touch. Number 2, how often do you use a computer and for what purposes? Well, again, that depends on you. You probably use it a lot. Most people have daily communications by email or maybe by Skype or whatever. Number 3, what technology do you use to stay in touch with your family and friends in other countries? Well, some of you may not have friends and family in other countries, but certainly with other parts of Saudi Arabia, and you probably are using your mobile phone. Maybe you're using email. Maybe you're using also internet connection by Skype or some other connection of that sort. So we'll be, this is the background of our discussion today. Listen to these computer terms from the conversation, define them with your classmates, check the terms you know. If you're not sure about a term, look it up in the dictionary. Blog, when people put their opinions on the internet, you have a blog spot, and a lot of people are into blogging. Headset, what we put on, language lab, or if we're using the listening part on a computer or anything. Sound card we put into the computer for sound. Download, to get it, to download from a site. Upload, if you have something you want to put in, download, you get it. Install, to put in. And to post. Well, you also say to send, to post a message or to send a message, relay a message. So these are all terms I'm quite sure you're used to. Let's have a look now at our vocabulary. We have 5 of them. The first is a phrase, to catch up on. The sentence, I need to catch up on the reading for my economics course. I was sick for 2 weeks and I'm really behind. Behind, catch up on. They go together. B, to do something necessary that you didn't have time to do in the past. So if you're behind, then you have to catch up on. So right now, for example, if you're doing, this is lecture 6, maybe you should be finished, well then you have to catch up on, you're behind. Number 2, my teacher wrote several comments. Our word is comments and questions on my paper and asked me to write it. Comments can be spoken or written. Let's see what they are here. We said it's A, an opinion or statement about something or someone. The comments. Also, I welcome, by the way, your comments. If you have any comments or questions, please do contact me by email. Number 3, we have stay in touch. Fatima stays in touch with her family by phone and mail. Stay in touch. E, to communicate with someone regularly. When you're gone from home, you can stay in touch. You can call, you can send emails. 4, no sweat. Now, they didn't mark that here, but please do notice that this is slang. No sweat. Could you give me a ride to school tomorrow? No sweat, meaning it's no problem. But please realize this is slang. Really, you have to be careful where you use this. It's really not formal language at all. If you want to say something that you don't object, better to say okay, no problem, all right. But if you want to be a little bit more jazzy in your language, you can say no sweat. Okay. Number 5, a charge. There are different meanings. Here's about money. There's a $3 charge for ordering concert tickets over the phone. Charge is money that you pay. We chose D, cost or fee. Fee, F-E-E, money we pay for a service. Like mobile phone, we pay a fee for using it. All right, now it's time to move on to our conversation. Of course, you're going to listen to it now, and you listen in order to answer some general questions. Here are the general questions. Number 1, where does this conversation probably take place? What is Jeff doing? Who is Hassan? How much was Sakamoto's cell phone bill? What does Sakamoto want to know about? What equipment will Sakamoto need to buy? And how much does VoIP software cost? Now, a lot of questions, but basically just understand what's happening and you will be able to answer all of these, I assure you. Here's the conversation. So listen. You can close your eyes if you like. Sometimes it's good when you listen. So listen and understand what's going on. We have 3 people. Actually, we have 2 people. We have Jeff and Sakamoto. We hear about Hassan. He's not speaking, though. Okay, 2 people. Jeff, remember Jeff, the fellow on the computer, and Sakamoto, as you can gather, a person from Japan, must be a student, probably. Okay. Jeff, come in. Sakamoto. Am I interrupting? Jeff. It's okay. I was just catching up on my blog. Sakamoto. Oh, yeah. What's it about? Jeff. Mostly it's about football. Like, here's a comment from Hassan talking about, let's see, football in Istanbul. Sakamoto. In Turkey? Turkish football? Jeff. Sure. And here's one from my friend Hiroshi, a student in Tokyo. Sakamoto. Maybe I should start a blog about learning English. Jeff. Well, it's a great way to meet new people, that's for sure. And all you need is an internet connection. Sakamoto. Well, speaking of the internet, I wanted to ask your advice about something. Okay, what's up? Sakamoto. Well, I just got my cell phone bill for last month, and it was $160. Jeff. Ouch. Sakamoto. Yeah, I can't believe it. Cell phone calls are so expensive here. Jeff. Are they cheaper in Japan? Sakamoto. Much cheaper. And we use our cell phones for email, too. A lot of people don't even own a computer. Jeff. It's amazing what you can do with cell phones these days. Talk, take pictures, send email. Sakamoto. Yeah, but anyway, Jeff, I need to find a cheaper way to stay in touch with my parents and my friends in Japan. And I heard there's a way you can call overseas for free using your computer. Do you know anything about that? Jeff? Of course. It's a technology called voice over internet. I use it all the time. Sakamoto. How does it work? Jeff. Well, you need a computer with a sound card if you've got that. Sakamoto. Yeah, I do. Jeff. And you also need a microphone and a headset. Sakamoto. I don't have those. Jeff. No sweat. You can buy them at any electronics store. Sakamoto. Okay, what else? Jeff. Well, then you'll need to download the software, which is free. And then if the person you're calling installs the same software, there's no cost for calling. Sakamoto. But what if they don't? Can I call from my computer to someone's phone? Jeff. Yes, but there's a charge for that. But it's a lot cheaper than using your cell phone, believe me. Sakamoto. Could you show me how it works on your computer? Jeff. Right now? Sakamoto. No, it's nighttime in Japan now. Can we do it in about 3 hours? Jeff. No problem. I'll be here. Sakamoto. Great. See you later. Now, from listening, you should be able to answer these questions. Where does this conversation probably take place? Well, I guess it probably is in Jeff's room. Remember, Jeff is a student, and he says to Sakamoto, come on in, so we assume he's probably in his room. He's at his computer, and we'd assume it's there. What is Jeff doing? He's busy with his blog. He's in touch with different people, and the blog is about football. He's a football fan, like a lot of people. We hear about number 3, who is Hassan? Well, we understand Hassan is a man that he's in touch with over the internet on his blog in Istanbul, and he's a man who likes football. Number 4, how much was Sakamoto's cell phone bill? Did you hear that? $160. That's a lot. That's over 500 reals, so he thinks that's a lot of money. He's a student, of course. And number 5, what does Sakamoto want to know about? Well, he wants to be in touch with his family. He needs a cheap way, and he heard about a way to do it for free. What equipment will Sakamoto need to buy? Well, we heard that he doesn't have a headset, and he needs a microphone. Now, these are the 2 things. And how much does this VoIP, voice over internet, how much does the software cost? I think we heard that it's free. You can download it for free. It doesn't cost anything. Now, another exercise you always do with the conversation is supplying missing words, a close exercise, something you'll be tested on also. When I test you, I give you the choices, A, B, C, D, E, what you listen to, but here you're filling them in. And the words that we're missing, am I interrupting, To cut into someone's work or someone's speech is to interrupt. Okay, interrupt. And he was catching up on his blog, B-L-O-G. What about? It's about football. There's our vocabulary. Comment. Turkish football, capital T, And here's one. Notice apostrophe S because here is. Student. English. These are pretty standard. New. Internet, I capitalize because that's what they do in your book, although you don't have to. It's become a common word now, and many people don't. Speaking, advice. Be careful of advise, which is the verb to advise, as opposed to the noun advice. Okay. Cell phone bill. Let's move on to the next page here. He says, I can't believe it, Expensive, cheap, Opposite. Expensive and cheap, expensive and cheaper, much. Email, some people put a hyphen between E and mail, it's up to you. Own, they don't even own a computer to possess or have. It's amazing, surprising. Pictures, anyway, is one word. Stay in touch, one of our vocabulary items. I heard there's a way. Notice the past of hear, heard, H-E-A-R, but pronounced heard. Free, technology, time, work, sound, headset, electronics. Electronics referring to things, appliances that use electricity and electrical, but when we talk about the appliances, electronics. Download and upload, free, same, don't, all of these, I think. Please note that nighttime is a single word. Nighttime, just like daytime. Looks strange to you perhaps because of the two T's together, but that has to be written together as a single word. All right, so that was the exercise about, and well, the end of the conversation is here. There's no close, no problem. Great, see you later. You see there at the top. Now we're going to do an exercise about intonation. You remember intonation? We did this once before, intonation, right? The difference between saying, I'm sure, or I'm sure. One is a question, the other is a statement. Or, I'm sure. This is what, these are different intonation patterns. Now, intonation in questions and requests, a very interesting thing to know about. Now notice, information questions have a rising, falling intonation pattern. Where do you live? What's your name? You see, what's your name? It's going down. But if you are asking the question, if you want yes or no, are you ready to go? Are you ready to go? Just rising. If it's a yes, could you please repeat that? Okay. What did you repeat? Would you repeat that? Okay. So hearing the different intonation patterns, let's look at this, practicing these intonation patterns. Listen to the following items from the conversation and repeat them after the speaker. Am I interrupting? Am I interrupting? You hear the rising intonation. Are they cheaper in Japan? Are they cheaper in Japan? Rising intonation. But information, different. It's a question, but they have a declining intonation at the end because we want a factual answer. What is it about? What is it about? What is it? We rise about. Repeat. What is it about? How does it work? How does it work? Okay, now your job is going to be identifying these patterns. Identifying these patterns. Now, I think it might be good. I'm not going to let you see it. Now, I'll let you listen, and then we'll go back to that, and you can decide on that. Okay? Now, I'm going to read these. Sometimes these questions are yes/no questions. Sometimes informational questions. You should hear the different intonation patterns. Let's listen to the first one. Are you working on the computer right now? Are you working on the computer right now? You should have heard that that was rising. Huh? Are you working on the computer right now? Let's go to the next one. Can you help me? Can you help me? You hear the rising there? Okay. But let's listen to the next one. It's going to be different. Number 3. Where do you want me to put this paper? Where do you want me to put this paper? Huh? You hear that? Okay. So there we have declining, falling intonation. Let's go to the next one. Could you please repeat that? Could you please repeat that? Notice that was a yes-no question. So we have rising. Listen to the next one. What kind of computer do you have? What kind of computer do you have? Notice, do you have a computer? But what kind of computer do you have? So again, notice we mark that as falling. Number 6. Did you check your email today? Did you check your email today? Again, notice rising. That is a yes-no question. So those are different types of intonation. Again, I'm not going to be testing you on that because I can't put A, B, C, D, but it's something you should understand when you're listening. All right, reviewing vocabulary. Remember, our vocabulary here is about global connections, using email, using cell phone. Number 1, do you read email every day, or do you wait until the weekend to catch up on all your messages? Catch up, because all through the week, catch up. Well, most people today would do it every day, but it depends. I think people with their homework, maybe they wait and they catch up on their homework. But emails, I think people follow them all the time. Number 2, how do you stay in touch with your family and friends when you're traveling? Well, most people today have their mobile phone. Email is another good way to do it. You can also, of course, speak over the internet. So you have many ways to do it. Number 3, before you buy an expensive product, such as a camera or computer, do you read the comments posted on the internet by other people who have used it? Why or why not? Well, if you're a careful consumer, you might do that. But you might also ask for comments from your friends. That's another, because comments can be written or they can be spoken, and you might want some comments. Or if you know somebody in business that you trust, you ask them for their comments. Certainly, if I'm going to go to a new city and there are hotels, I look on the internet, I look at reviews to see people's comments about the hotel. Number 4, complete the following conversation with a request for help or permission. Okay. Could you help me move my furniture? No sweat. Could you do my homework for me? No sweat. Requests. And number 5, how much is the monthly charge on your cell phone? I have no idea. Would you like to find a cheaper monthly fee? I guess you can search around now for different possibilities. Some of you use cards, so you probably don't have that problem. All right, using language functions. We have the term interrupt, and about a polite way to interrupt and not so. Here's would be some polite ways. Excuse me, am I interrupting? Can I? It'd be nice even. Could I? Might I interrupt? Excuse me for interrupting, but I'd like to say something. And these are ways, because you don't want to just cut in. You have to make a request. Okay. I'm sorry to interrupt. Pardon me. Sorry. So these are things you need to do. Okay. Here's an interrupting game. If you're more than one, you might try to do that. Okay. And I think that finishes our work on the first part of Unit 6. And you know, the very important thing in each unit is your lecture. And here is going to be the passage about, in Unit 6, our passage about global connections. And this is about different cultural customs in different parts of the world. Very interesting subject. So please listen to this lecture about customs in different parts of the world. Good afternoon, class. Today I'm going to start by telling you a little story. There was once a young woman from Mexico named Consuela. And she came to New York to get work. She got a job at a factory owned by a man from Taiwan. One day, Consuela came to work, and her boss, remember he's from Taiwan, handed her a red envelope. She looked inside and saw $50. What do you think she did? She became very upset, and she threw the envelope back at him. Her boss was totally shocked. Can you guess why? Well, he had given her the red envelope and the money because it was the Chinese New Year. And on the Chinese New Year, it's traditional to give money to young people for good luck. But Consuela didn't know about this custom, and so she was very insulted when he gave her this money. Now, this is a good example of how customs can cause misunderstandings. And that's a reason why it's very good to learn about customs of different countries. That will avoid a lot of problems. So I come to the topic of the lecture today. The topic is this: cultures have different customs, and an action in one culture can have a totally different meaning in another culture. As you saw in an example of our story, Consuela was insulted, but the boss was really trying to do something very nice. So every culture has its own rules for appropriate and inappropriate behavior. Serious misunderstandings can occur, like the one with Consuela and her boss, if we don't know other people's cultural rules. Let me illustrate this point by giving you examples from 4 areas. We're going to have 4 different areas. First, I'm going to talk about greetings, how people greet each other. You don't greet, hello. This is very different in different countries. Next will be the way people use names and titles. Next, the way people eat. And finally, the way people exchange gifts. Are you ready? Okay, let's look at the first area. As you remember, we're going to talk about ways of greeting, how people behave when they say hello. Now, you probably know that in the United States, and in fact in Western world in general, it's very common for people to touch when they greet. It can be a handshake, it can be a hug. If people are very close, it could even be a kiss. Now, most Western countries are similar in this respect. Some are more intimate than others. For example, in France, it's much more common to kiss someone when you meet them than it is in England. It's more common in America than in England, but more common in France than America. So they differ, but the basic point is people do touch when they meet. It's very different in Asia. In Asian countries, people do not touch when they meet. It's considered abnormal, and people are uncomfortable touching when they meet. What do I mean by this? In Japan, people bow to each other. They don't exchange any touching of any sort. Also in Thailand. In Thailand also, people put their hands in front of them. It's called the way, to greet each other. So they hold their hands, it's called as a prayer position. That's a way of greeting. Now you can imagine what would happen if an American went to Japan or Thailand and tried to put his hands on the person he's meeting. They would be shocked. This would not be accepted. Very embarrassing. Very acceptable in Latin America and Mexico, less so in the United States. So you notice different ways of greeting. Now, I'd like to talk about another area where cultures differ, and that is in how they use names. Now, if you go to America, you'll hear people calling each other by their first name. Hey, Dave. Hi, Joe. "Hi, Jack." But however, you'll find that this is not true in some other countries. For example, in Europe, it would be more likely that people would say Mr. Martinez or Miss Schultz or Mrs. Deladier. So people are more formal in Europe than in America. How is it in Asia? Is it the same? Yes. In places in Asia also, people are more formal. You don't use first names very easily. In fact, in Korea, they like to use titles. So you address someone as Manager Kim or Teacher Joe, and so they use a title, like doctor is a title and Mr., okay? And so they like to use titles like engineer and teacher. Let's move on to our third area, and that is about eating. Now, I don't mean what people eat. That's interesting too, but I mean how they eat. And one of these is what they use to eat. We call these the utensils. Now, in some countries, you use different utensils. If you're in an Asian country, Japan or China, you use a chopsticks, the chopsticks to eat the food. If you're in the West, meaning in Europe or America, you're going to be using silverware, knife, spoon, fork, as we've learned about. Other areas are traditional, places like India, the Middle East. They will use their hands when eating. So these are different ways of eating. Another part of eating is how much you have on your plate. Now, in Egypt, you should leave some food on your dish at the end of the meal. Otherwise, it looks like you're still hungry. However, if you go to Bolivia in South America, you're expected to eat everything on your plate. This is also true in America. In America, a clean plate indicates you are happy with the food. Now, finally, I'd like to talk about gift giving. The rules of gift giving can be complicated and embarrassing if you don't know them. Now, in the United States, if you're invited to someone's house for dinner, it's usual to bring along flowers or a small gift. But not if it's a business. If it's business, no. But if it's a personal, good to bring a gift or flowers. Now, in countries such as Japan, you always give gifts, whether it's business or not business. Gift giving is something you do all the time. You give a gift to your teacher. You give a teacher to the medical doctor. You give teacher. So gifts there are a very common part of business life. It's a very ancient tradition, and in Japan, it's also important that you wrap your gift very nicely. You don't just give the thing itself. It must be wrapped very nicely. Another thing is what you give. Flowers have different meanings. In some countries, yellow flowers can be a very bad thing to give to someone. So, in conclusion, what I wanted to make clear to you today is that different customs in different countries. So, I think it will make you clear that the best way of doing something is different in one country from another. So if you're going to another country, learn about their customs so that you will have a nice time and you won't be embarrassed and they won't be offended. Thank you.